Good morning.
Good morning.
So the talk title for today is KISS, Keep It Simple, Sweetheart. This month, our theme for this whole month is the spark of the divine flame. And in order to fully and completely ignite the spark of the divine flame within us, we will keep it simple as we fully participate. And I should probably do this because I actually worked on this slide here. So we will keep it simple as we fully participate in the awesome nature of God, realizing that our outer life is a reflection of our inner life and the power that comes when we kick it into gear. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how to do this in Keynote. I'm really good at PowerPoint, but this was kind of fun. So, obviously you notice how the word spark is right in there. Okay, so for those of you that might not be awake yet, we're going to go through this just again. Okay, we're going to keep it simple as we fully participate in the awesome nature of God, realizing that our outer life is a reflection of our inner life and the power that comes when we kick it into gear. Spark, there we go. Each week we're going to explore one of these ideas. And I'm really excited about the entire month, and I'm really excited about today because we have a lot of fun with Keep It Simple, right? So let me tell you that I'm going to begin our topic this morning by telling you something of which I am acutely aware. I am aware that everyone who walked through the doors this morning and who will walk through our doors this entire month is somewhere on the continuum of situations and life experiences. At one end, things are happening, right? Good things are happening, things are moving, things are shaking, and everything's wonderful, and things are happening in exciting ways. Things are clicking. They're really working for you. They're coming together. A number of you walked in here this morning, didn't you? And you were feeling like this, and we all want to celebrate with you, right? All right. I also know that maybe one or two walked in here this morning, maybe at the other end of the spectrum. There might be a little pain or sadness or fear over personal issues or illnesses or relationship or loss or finances, maybe even just the global issues. I myself have been struggling a little bit this past week with the senseless tragedy that happened in Santa Barbara, and just feeling really heartbroken for those children. And it really hit home because my daughter's living in Isla Vista, and she's the one who called me about half hour after this whole thing happened. And it just, as it unfolds and things are happening, it's just hard not to be drawn into those feelings. But taking time many times throughout the day to remember that God is right where I am. God is right where I am. And God is right where everyone who is suffering is. That has been what has gotten me through this past week. So for some it may have been difficult to come here this morning, but something perhaps within you said you needed to be here. And my heart and my love and our collective love are all totally with each and every one of you here today. So I think it's really awesome that we all chose to be here. And of course, for the rest of us, there may be somewhere in between those two extremes, right? And I know that this is true of every single Sunday. So, and today, I just want to say wherever you are on that continuum, we're going to kiss and make it better. Because no matter where we are on the spectrum, no matter which end we're leaning towards in this life experience can always get better. Meaning it can be expressed more fully as we come more into the alignment with the great power and presence of life that we call God. Now, of course, you know that I don't mean the kind of kiss like that, right? And I don't mean this kind of kiss, although I'm going to pass these around so you can all take however many you'd like to help you remember this whole concept today, but rather the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, sweetheart. The term keep it simple, sweetheart could apply to many, many different things in many different ways, but this morning we're going to really delve into the spiritual understanding of two simple ideas. Two simple ideas that if we work with them, if we embrace them, if we live in harmony with them, wherever we are on any given day in the continuum of life, we will definitely ignite the spark of the divine flame within. So these two simple ideas. In fact, Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind textbook, it is also simple that it seems unbelievable. And here are those two simple ideas, also in the words of Ernest Holmes. We come to understand that all is love, and yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine givingness. Law is the way. Love is spontaneous. Law is impersonal. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. If you get anything out of the textbook, that is the portion that should be memorized, because that is exactly how this entire teaching works. Our two simple ideas of love and law, love points the way and law makes the way possible. And this morning we're going to keep it simple by looking at these two fundamental elements of the spiritual understanding known as religious science. And as we experienced in our movie, the New Thought movie, it's also considered New Thought, ancient wisdom. And it's based on that ancient wisdom and teachings of the ages. Jesus knew and taught these two simple fundamental elements of spiritual understanding. Buddha knew and taught these two simple fundamental elements of spiritual understanding. So let's gain clarity around these two key words here. Love and law. Let's look at love. What is love really? We're told in the Gospels that God is love and love is God. Yet when we talk about love, we have a real strong tendency to put our human qualities to it. And for many people, love has not always been a pleasant thing. There was that song that was popular a while back where the chorus was "Love Hurts." You know, you're thinking, man, I remember listening to that song, yes, right. Just going, oh, okay. And for some people, love means betrayal or pain or abandonment. It means abuse in the name of love. So when we talk about God being love, we get our own human experience all tangled up in it. And a bigger, more powerful, in fact, an all-powerful version of that isn't at all appealing, is it? So, can we just for a moment right now release that idea and look at some thoughts about God's love, Spirit's love, universal love? Charles Fillmore, who we got to know just a little bit better in our movie on Friday night, he founded Unity. And in his book titled Talks on Truth, he wrote, "The love of God for his children is beyond description. A love so tender and so deep that it cannot be mentioned in the same breath with the ordinary love as known by the world. The great love of being is deeper and wider than the thoughts and words of man have compassed since the beginning of language. It can be known only as its own plane, and man must awaken within himself the capacity to feel a mighty love before he can comprehend how great is the love of God." So where does the work have to take place? We can't wait for something out there to come at us. It's got to take place from within us, right? So how do we do that? How do we awaken within ourselves the capacity to feel a love this mighty? Despite these beautiful words, I realize it can be difficult to get a sense of love so giving, so vast, so pure, when we have not, up until now, in our humanness, experienced it. We want to see it before we believe it, right? That's we kind of have it a little bit backwards. That, you know, it may be simple, but it's not easy, right? But let's do the best that we can. So, who has children? Anybody have children here? Okay. Who has pets? Anybody have pets? Okay. All right. Take a moment and get a sense of the purest moment of love you felt for a child or for a precious kitten or puppy or bird. Well, maybe not, sweetie, but
that's why I was there.
Think about that. What are your emotions? I often hear my daughter say, "I love you so much," because she does have the cutest little puppy in the world. She's pretty adorable. We want to protect, we want to provide for, we want to make secure, we want to give to, we want to hold, we want to cuddle, we want to adore, we want to shower blessings upon our children, upon our pets, upon these little beings that we love so dearly. So get the highest and deepest feeling you can of love right now and see if you can double it, and then double it again, and then double it again and again. I remember Maureen told the story of waiting outside all night long for her cat to come back. That is a demonstration of how much you love. You love that cat. And the cat came back, right? Yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So when you double that feeling that you have, and double it again and double it again, it doesn't even begin to touch the love that is God. But it's the best that we can do right now, and it kind of gives you an idea of where we're going. And here's the most beautiful and glorious thing. We don't have to be anything in order to receive this love. The love's already given, the gift is already given, it's already ours. We don't need to bargain with God in order to receive love. Not like the young groom who, during his wedding rehearsal, approached the pastor and said, I'll give you a $100 bill if you'll change the wedding vows and leave out all that junk about having to love, honor, and obey. He pressed the $100 bill into the pastor's hand and he walked away with a smile. The next day, during the vows portion of the wedding ceremony, the pastor turned to him and said, and now, son, do you promise to bow down before her, fulfill her every wish, and serve her breakfast in bed for as long as you both shall live? The groom gulped in astonishment, and a weak voice answered, yes. Then he leaned toward the pastor and whispered, I thought we had a deal. The pastor handed the groom the $100 back, and he said, we did, but she made me a much better offer. Didn't know we could do that. Remember that. Okay. So God's love is not like that. It's freely, completely, and totally showered upon each one of us here and now, and at every moment and every second of every day. There's never a time when it is not being showered upon us. It is truly the definition of unconditional and unceasing. There's a story in Women's Day magazine a number of years ago. Does anybody read Women's Day? It was a few years ago. You may have read this. And I think it did a pretty good job of bringing the feeling of God's love into our human experience. And I'm going to try to get through this without choking up because it is one of those stories. But it went like this. Like any good mother, when Karen found out that there was another baby on the way, she did what she could to help her 3-year-old son Michael prepare for the new sibling. They found out that the new baby was going to be a girl, and day after day, night after night, Michael sang to his sister in his mommy's tummy. He was building the bond of love with his little sister before he ever even met her. The pregnancy progressed normally for Karen, and in time, the labor pains came. Soon it was every 5 minutes, then every 3 minutes, but a series of complications arose during delivery, and Karen found herself in hours of labor. Finally, after a long struggle, Michael's little sister was born, but she was in very serious condition. With the siren howling in the night, the ambulance rushed the infant to the neonatal intensive care unit at St. Mary's Hospital, Knoxville, Tennessee. The days inched by, the little girl got worse. The pediatrician had to tell the parents that there was very little hope. Be prepared for the worst. Karen and her husband contacted a local cemetery about a burial plot. They'd fixed up a special nursery, a special room for her, as most parents do, in their house for their new baby, but now they found themselves having to plan for a funeral. Michael, however, little 3-year-old, kept begging his parents to let him see his sister. I want to sing to her, he kept saying. Week 2 in the intensive care looked as if the funeral would be happening before the week was over. Michael kept nagging about singing to his sister, but, as you know, children are not allowed in the neonatal intensive care. And we have firsthand experience. Our granddaughters spent several weeks. They were born prematurely, twins, and weighing 4 and 4.5 pounds each. And they're amazing today. And I have to say, the nurses are wonderful, and it is great, but there are strict rules. We had to gown up and be sterilized before we could even walk through the doors. So, they weren't going to just let a child come in there. But Karen made up her mind, and she decided that she was going to take Michael in there whether they liked it or not. Because if he didn't see his sister right then, he may never see her alive. She dressed him up in an oversized scrub suit and marched him into the NICU. He looked like a walking laundry basket, but the head nurse recognized him as a child, and she bellowed, "Get that child out of here right now. No children are allowed in here." And the mother, as any of us who are moms, rose up and didn't know that she had that within her, but she's usually mild-mannered, and she just glared steel-eyed at that head nurse's face, and she just said, "He's not leaving until he sings to his sister." Karen towed Michael to his sister's bedside, he gazed at the tiny infant who was losing her battle to live. At that moment, he began to sing, as only a 3-year-old can sing, right? The pure-hearted voice. And he sang, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray." And instantly, the little baby curls seemed to respond. The pulse rate began to calm down and become steady. "Keep on singing, Michael," encouraged Karen with tears in her eyes. "You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away." As Michael sang to his sister, the baby's ragged, strained breathing became as smooth as a kitten's purr. "Keep on singing, sweetheart. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms." Michael's little sister began to relax as rest, the healing rest, seemed to sweep over her. "Keep on singing, Michael." Tears had now conquered the face of the bossy head nurse, and Karen was smiling herself. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Please don't take my sunshine away." The next day, the very next day, that little girl was well enough to go home. Yeah, pretty amazing story. Women's Day magazine called it the miracle of a brother's song. The medical staff just called it a miracle. Karen called it the miracle of love. That is the love that is the driving force behind all of life. So, got through that. All right. What is law? Our second key word today that we're going to take a look at is law. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says, "In the great universal mind, we are each a center of intelligence. And every time we think, we set mind or law in action. We are immersed in an infinite creative medium, which, because of its nature, must create after the pattern our thought gives it." Jesus understood this, and in a few simple words, laid down the law of life. It is done unto you as you believe. No more simple and yet no more profound a statement could be made. The law is the way that God works. It's always in operation. An immutable, impersonal, infinite mind that we connect with and use through our minds. As Charles Fillmore said, God is no respecter of persons, but he requires an exact observance of the law to the least jot and tittle. Just like the law of gravity, right? It's always in operation, and we can cooperate with it or not. It's not fun when we don't cooperate with it. Well, maybe it is. Just depends on what we're doing, right? And it's just like the law of aerodynamics, always in operation, and we can cooperate with it or not. Or the law of mathematics, always in operation, and we can cooperate with it or not. Spiritual law says that we are constantly attracting that which we make inevitable, by the quality of our thoughts. Our thoughts is what makes our life. Remember, the law will work no matter what. Whatever you put into it, the universe always says yes. It always says yes. Ernest Holmes, in his book Love and Law, tells us how to work in harmony with the law. We get a mental equivalent of what it is we desire through practice, meditation, thought, study, intelligence, concentration, inspiration, hope, faith, love, prayer, desire, and work. There is no other way. There is no other way. So here we have love and we have law. And the question that I have this morning is this: what if we let love point the way, knowing that law, spiritual law, will do what it does, simply make the way possible? What if we do that? What if we choose to do that? Albert Einstein was once asked what was the most important question human beings needed to answer. This is an interesting answer that he came up with. He replied, this is it: is the universe a loving place or not? Wow. Great thinker. That was his question. Is the universe a loving place or not? What is your answer to that question? Is it a loving place or not? The answer to that question will give us an overall tone for all of our life, because our answer sets the law in motion. Allow yourself to think only thoughts of love. Nika, a small child of 6 years old, once said, "If you want to learn to love better, you should start with a friend that you hate." Wow. Wisdom, right? Out of the mouths of babes. To work on a daily basis to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence in our lives is truly a lifelong process. It's not something that we can do in 5 minutes or even this morning. It is a lifelong commitment, a lifelong process. It takes constant inner work to perceive clearly who we are and exactly what the real conditions are in our lives. Love is what we're born with. Fear is what we learn, right? If we live in a world of fear, we must relearn love. To experience love is the meaning of our life. Think of the world of love. If we had a world just of love, there would be no war, no hunger, no environmental breakdown, no oppression, no violence, no prejudice. People would be working together with cooperation. There would be peace. Events are always in a flux. One day, people love you. The next day, running smoothly. The next day, it's in chaos. One running smoothly, the next day it's in chaos. One day you feel on top of the world, and the next day you feel like a failure. These are the changes in life that are part of what we call the human experience. The love within each and every one of us cannot be destroyed. It can only be hidden. Every challenge is an opportunity to love more. Every challenge. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, we should think of God not only as principle, forever pushing forward into expression, but as an infinite person. In other words, if we merely think of an abstract principle, a mathematical law, we shall lose all the warmth and color. We should be very careful in abstracting the principle, not to forget the essence. And I think in New Thought, we do tend to be in our heads a lot of the time. We do tend to be very logical, and we do tend to think a lot. And he's telling us here, don't forget that essence. Don't forget that it's love that points the way for the law to act upon. Because we know that that essence is truly love. So I want to leave you with a final thought about love. Teilhard de Chardin, the French monk of he was a 19th century mystic, once wrote, "The day will come when, after harnessing the ether, the winds, the tides, and gravitation, we shall harness the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time in the history of the world, we will have discovered fire." Wherever you are in life, whatever is up for you when you walked in here this morning, remember to keep it simple, sweetheart. Let love point the way, and know that the law will ignite the spark of the divine flame with you every single time, without fail, without doubt. And I'll seal that with a kiss, right? And with all the chocolates that are out there somewhere, be sure to take them home with you, because I don't want to take them home with me. So keep it simple, sweetheart. And so it is.
So